Treese, and over to you.
Good evening. Thank you all for attending on this warm night. We're doing everything we can to make sure that we can cool off a bit. Perhaps some of those posters can be used as fans as well for circulation. Thank you. Tonight we are expecting Commissioner Willie. He is testifying at the Beaverton City Council about the library levy. He's upstairs, so he'll join us as soon as he's done with that. With that, I'd like to ask you to stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, Madam Vice Chair, I'll do a roll call here. So the Washington County Board of Commissioners, also acting as the Board of Directors for Clean Water Services and all other county service districts, is meeting this regular session, August 26, 2025. Commissioner Schneider?
Here.
Commissioner Fye?
Present.
Vice Chair Treese?
Here.
And I'll announce Chair Harrington is excused for tonight.
And as I mentioned earlier, Commissioner Willie will be joining us. So, thank you for that comment. Let's see if we can see what we can do. We'll work on that. See if it's getting better. Good. All right. Thank you. So with that, Clerk Moss, who do we have for public communication?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, we have 7 people signed up tonight. So it's the boards of the 2 minutes per 5 minute, 10 minutes total. So it's up to the board's purview to allow all 7 or not. So.
I'd like to, I believe we should go to 7. Are we comfortable with that?
Yep, 7 for
Great, let's go with 7 for 2 minutes. We normally have a 10-minute stoppage time for this is B14, if that works.
Yeah, so we'll call up the first 2, Sandra Nelson and Sean Stutzman. See Sandra, so Esperanza Guillen. Please take a seat. Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Stutzman.
My name is Sean Stutzman, and I've had the privilege of serving as a juvenile counselor 2, aka probation officer here in Washington County for 25 years. In total, I bring 35 years of experience under the juvenile justice umbrella. This work is not just my career, it's my calling. For more than 2 decades, I have shown up every day to help keep our community safe, to guide youth who are often in crisis, and to support families at some of their most difficult moments. Yet in those 20 years, I have not received a pay raise beyond a cost of living increase. Meanwhile, our counterparts at adult parole and probation earn nearly $8 more per hour, and those at Oregon Youth Authority earn about $15 more per hour. We all meet the same minimum qualifications, we all undergo similar trainings, we all carry the same skill sets, but unlike many of those roles, ours often involve greater daily danger. Juvenile counselors are working face-to-face with volatile youth and adults in the community, sometimes in unpredictable situations with fewer safety resources. We do not have law enforcement support, and our youth are not contained in controlled environments. And yet, despite the risks, we show up because we believe in second chances, in accountability, and in rehabilitation. But belief alone cannot pay our bills or keep talented staff in these critical positions. Washington County has lost and continues to lose experienced and dedicated counselors to higher-paying agencies that do the same work but compensate fairly. This is not just about fairness for us employees, it's about stability for the youth and families we serve, and about safety for the broader community, including our schools. When you invest in us, you invest in public safety, in prevention, making victims whole, and in giving kids a chance to turn their lives around. I urge you to support our economic requests and bring us to pay parity with our colleagues at Adult Parole and Probation and the Oregon Youth Authority. We deserve equal pay for equal qualifications, equal duties, and greater risks. It's time Washington County values its juvenile counselors the way we value this community. I've provided you with an informative packet detailing everything I just covered. Please feel free to reach out to me if you want to learn more and hear our story. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you very much. Next. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Esperanza Guillen, and I am a juvenile counselor in the Assessment and Court Unit. We are the first point of contact for youth and families entering the juvenile system. As a Latina woman serving a majority of BIPOC youth who are considered high risk, I see firsthand the challenges and the importance of the work that we do. Our role goes far beyond office work. We are often called to support schools, de-escalate conflicts between youth and parents, prevent situations from escalating into new violations. Many of the youth we supervise cannot be transported to the department, which means we are entering homes without knowing what we may encounter. These are high-risk situations, often involving gang affiliations, behavioral challenges, and mental health crisis, and we do that without protective equipment or law enforcement support. The only safeguard we have is bringing another coworker with us. Despite the high risk and responsibilities, we are paid significantly less than others doing comparable work. We earn less than Oregon Youth Authority and our adult probation and parole counterparts, even though the demand and risk of our jobs are very similar. I love my job and I am deeply committed to the youth and families I serve, but the pay disparity is unfair and it sends the message that our safety and our work are undervalued. We often work throughout our breaks, missing lunches because crisis cannot wait. All we are asking is to be compensated fairly for the critical and high-risk work we do every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excuse me. We want to make sure we get through. I'm happy to have your support for the folks that are providing comment along with you. But if we can get along, that would be very good too. So thank you for your public comment.
All right, next we have Rolando Figueroa and Maria Estrada.
Go ahead.
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Rolando Figueroa, and I reside at 2025 WA Northeast in Salem, Oregon. I'm the council representative for AFSCME Council 75, and I'm the chief negotiator for the Washington County Juvenile Workers Contract. We've come before you this evening to educate and request. You will hear and you have heard from juvenile workers about their day-to-day experiences. The concerns over safety and respect are real, and one of the main reasons these workers made the decision to organize and join AFSCME. You will hear about the difficulties of supporting families on current wages, all the while protecting the community as first-line workers in the development of the next generation of Oregonians. We have been at the bargaining table with county management since late January. We've made some progress in non-economic areas, aside, of course, from the ability for workers to donate sick leave to each other, as just one example of where we are still pretty far apart. We've been told by management that all they have authorized to offer is a 0% COLA. And next year, we can have whatever they give the non-union folks. This is not good faith bargaining. By offering only what non-union workers receive, they're essentially telling these workers that your union doesn't matter. That is union busting. We are here today to ask that you grant more economic authority to the management bargaining team in order to settle our historic first contract. We are over 90% strong in terms of membership, and we are not afraid to strike. We have a mediation session next month, and we hope that is all that is needed to settle our contract. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Maria Estrada, and I work as a case manager at Harkins House, our residential unit, part of the juvenile department. We work in an environment where we have high stress, mental health, and significant trauma. So we serve kids ages from 12 to 18. They're there all the time. So we're constantly putting out fires, just escalating behaviors, not only with youth, but also working with parents. We show up every day to our jobs because we're passionate about what we do. We love what we do. We love to see the growth that we see our kids do. And it's a very rewarding job when you see the small gains that our kids have done. And with that said, we don't get to decide when a kid is having a meltdown. So there's times where we cannot even take a lunch break or 15-minute breaks. I don't know what to tell you what a 15-minute break is. I don't think I've taken that in the last 3.5 years. We don't clock in and clock out exactly as our time says, because if a kid is in the middle of a meltdown, their needs and priorities come first, right? But we love what we do, and we show up every day, and we try to look at it from a positive lens. And yet, we go home and we start thinking of our financial barriers with our own families. And I could sit here and give you how financially it impacts me, but I'm not the only person at Harkins House, and unfortunately, due to staffing issues and some people living so far, I want to be able to capture their voices as well. So I will read a couple of comments that some of my colleagues have written. And I won't say any names, I'm just going to read what they said. So someone said, despite being in a household of 2 incomes with no kids, no debt, other than a mortgage, and both working government jobs, we cannot afford to buy a home in the community that we serve. So in order to purchase a home, we've moved to an hour and a half away and commute every day instead. I cannot even entertain the dream of having children at this moment.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm done. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Next up.
Next, we have Julia Stacy and Tammy Bodine.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm Julia Stacy, and I've been working at Washington County Juvenile since 1997. I am a Juvenile Counselor 1 with the Electronic Monitoring Program, and my job is...
Can you speak a little closer to the mic? Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Okay. My job is, it's a very rewarding and wonderful job. It can be somewhat dangerous at times. And I've put myself in situations that have been sometimes scary. I do go to home visits on my own most of the time. Sometimes I can go with a partner. I am a Juvenile Counselor 1, which is the lowest paid job at the Juvenile Department. I'm a single parent with 2 kids. It is difficult for me to make ends meet. My family has helped me out, but it is very hard to pay the bills, and it's been difficult to hear that Washington County doesn't want to support us and give us more money when we do a very dangerous job. And that's what I'm not a really great public speaker, but I did want to talk with you today about our needs and hopefully have you listen and to help us, because we have not been supported very well in our department for a number of years. So I have gone to homes where there's been assaults when I've gotten there. I've been spit on. I've been almost urinated on. I've had friends that have been assaulted that I've worked with. So we are in danger, and we do deserve to be paid fairly with the people that are also doing our jobs in other counties around us and OIA. I really appreciate you listening to our story. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for your 28 years of service. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Tammy Bodine, and I am a juvenile counselor in the probation sex offender unit, and I have been working at the county since 1995. And this is a very passionate and difficult emotional job. And it has been a great job for many years. One of the stories that I just wanted to highlight is that we do a lot of community work, and we're out there talking to the community. And I noticed in our department probably about 7 years ago that we continue to have a lot of turnover, a lot of people coming and staying for a little while and leaving, finding jobs with higher pay, better benefits, jobs that are similar to ours. And then I went to a conference. It is called OSOTN Conference, and it is an Oregon conference that I went to, and they had a parent panel on that conference. And I was listening to the parent panel, and they had jurisdictions from all over Oregon, and then they asked the question to the parents, how has your experience been with your juvenile counselor, with your juvenile department? And it was hard to hear that everyone had positive things, except the parents from Washington County said, well, there's just been a lot of turnover, so we have not had a consistent person working with us, so it's been difficult, and that's the only feedback we could give. And I was surprised and kind of hurt because I've given my career to Washington County. So I just wanted to share that and hope that you do take a look at how fair pay will help consistency, not only with our staff, which also will in turn help with our clients and families. Thank you.
Thank you. And who is next?
The last one we have, Madam Vice Chair, is Michael Panhorst.
Thank you to the Commission for this 2 minutes to respond to your hour-long meeting this afternoon about the Washington County Historical Collections crisis mitigation efforts. I'm a Beaverton resident, a museum professional who's on contract to 2 local historical societies in Northwest Oregon, neither of which has $1.5 million budget or $1 million budget or a $500,000 budget like the Five Oaks Museum had when it closed. Yet those organizations have more members, more volunteers, and more visitors than Five Oaks Museum had. I share this to suggest that there's quite a bit more to know about management and governance of nonprofit museums and historical societies than your staff has been able to present today or on May 13th. In fact, I'd suggest that some parts of those presentations could be misleading because they're so compressed. Most importantly, I want to share that there are a lot of museum professionals and enthusiasts in our community who've tried to engage your staff in substantive discussions about the crisis and mitigation efforts since January. However, despite my repeated efforts, I've managed to get only one 30-minute meeting with Ann Ober and one substantive email from Joe Nelson. This afternoon, with all due respect, I got the impression that you and your staff were talking in a closet. Please open the closet door. Please direct your staff to show more good faith effort to work with the history community to find solutions to this crisis. Despite the chair's characterization of the extensive historical collections being what she calls an air quote liability to the county, please give these collections champions an opportunity to help you recognize the value of the collections and help you rise to the challenge to steward the collections responsibly.
Thank you for being here.
Madam Vice Chair, that concludes tonight's signups.
Great. And thank you, everybody, for your comments. We will be moving on to our consent agenda, but before we do so, I would like to provide a little background here. So, due to the number of public comments received about the proposed closure of River Road, I worked with the staff to move that topic from the consent agenda to the action items, item H3 on the agenda. When we get to item H3, we will hear a brief presentation from county staff, followed by a brief presentation from the applicant that he initiated the closure request. After those presentations, I'll open the floor to board member questions or comments, and we'll open the floor for public comment. Up to 2 minutes per person will be allowed for those wanting to speak about the River Road closure. In the interest of time, I encourage those providing comment to please avoid repeating prior comments. Sign-up sheets are available in the back of the auditorium if you'd like to speak on this item, item H3. If you're joining us on Zoom, we ask that you use the raise hand function in Zoom when we start the public comment period for item H3. Following the public comments, the board will consider the staff's recommendation to approve the requested road closure. And at this point, now I'd like to go through what the consent agenda items are. We have one agenda item for contracting the Washington County Service Center East Building improvements. And the second one is to approve and authorize the execution of a contract with TVWD to utilize Community Development Block Grant funding. Third item is to approve the contract amendment with David Evans and Associates for construction engineering support on Council Creek Regional Trail Project. And the fourth one is to approve the approval of the labor agreement between Washington County and the Washington County Police Officers Association Sergeants Unit. Go ahead.
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended, with the removal of what had been item 3.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. We have 3 votes in the positive. That's a unanimous vote. So thank you for approving the consent agenda. At this time, I'd like to move on to the appointment of members to the Aging and Veteran Services Advisory Council. And that, we have a presentation on that?
It sounds like you've already approved the closure of River Road.
No, excuse me, sir. We have moved that agenda item to an action item, and it will be further in our agenda. It was removed from the consent agenda and not approved. Okay? Are
you sure?
Yes, I am sure.
Yeah, my motion specifically referenced that. So yes, absolutely not approved.
Okay, moving on. Moving on, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, you do have a recommendation from the Health and Human Services Department. You do have your director, Mayor Mantle, in the audience if you would like a quick staff report.
Go ahead.
Afternoon, Board of County Commissioners. I wasn't prepared with a presentation this evening. It's the same information that was prepared at the work session, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you have of the recommendations for the Dave's committee appointments.
Thank you, Ms. Mantle. We can go ahead and approve this without that.
I don't have more questions.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? So, at this time, we'd like to have no more comments from the audience. We have a process that we go through for these steps, and you're welcome to pick up an agenda at the back of the room. So the second piece under our boards and commissions, item E, is the Advisory Council on Racial Equity Appointments. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? The vote is 3-0. Thank you. That approval. And at this time, I'd like to move to section F, which is proclamations. The first proclamation is to proclaim the 4th week of August 2025 as Community Health Worker Awareness and Appreciation Week in Washington County. And I know we do have a staff presentation here. Please come forward. For the record, I just want to note that Commissioner Willie has joined us.
Good evening, Commissioners, Vice Chair Treese, and Board of County Commissioners. For the record, my name is Dr. Marie Bowman-Davis. I am the Washington County Public Health Division Manager and the local public health administrator. I'm so happy to join you here tonight in celebration of our community health workers. We have a wonderful presentation prepared, so I will be very brief with my comments. We are asking that you proclaim the 4th week of August 2025 as Community Health Worker Awareness and Appreciation Week here in Washington County. You'll hear a lot of great things about community health workers, but the proclamation itself recognizes community health workers as members of our public health workforce and celebrates their contributions to improving health outcomes. I'd like to turn it over to Magdalena to Ramirez for the remainder of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Magdalena Ramirez. My pronouns are she, her, ella.
I serve Washington County as a traditional health worker strategy senior program coordinator. And today we have community health worker partners and allies that will be co-presenting and reading the proclamation. The proclamation for CHW, or Community Health Worker Awareness and Appreciation Week, is an opportunity for us to bring awareness about the critical role community health workers play in community health and wellness. Thank you. So what is a community health worker? Our community health workers are professional public health professionals that are frontline workers and are trusted in our community. They have unusually close understanding of our communities, of the communities that they serve, and that is through the shared experiences and backgrounds. Community health workers are recognized by Oregon as a type of traditional health worker, and certification is also available through the Oregon Health Authority. At Washington County, we have a designated website as well that we invite all the community members to visit and learn more about how to connect with a community health worker as well. And lastly, we also want to highlight that Washington County recognizes the collaborative and cross-sector work that community health workers do to address social determinants of health through partnerships that support systems of navigation and community capacity across public health and health and human services. Our community health workers provide support to increase access to medical and dental care, maternal and child health and wellness, communicable disease prevention and mitigation, support around housing services, mental health, suicide prevention, emergency preparedness as well. So we are very grateful to have partnerships with community health workers. And now I will pass it on to Janine, who will be reading the proclamation in English, and then Cristel, who will be reading the proclamation in Spanish.
Thank you. Good evening. For the record, my name is Janine Smart, she, her pronouns. I'm the Executive Director of Oregon Community Health Workers Association, a statewide workforce association for community health workers. And I'm honored to be here to read the proclamation, proclaiming the 4th week of August as Community Health Worker Awareness and Appreciation Week in Washington County. Whereas Washington County recognizes the significant contributions of community health workers, or CHWs, in improving health outcomes, encouraging collaboration and raising awareness of the important role of CHWs, whereas community health workers are frontline public health professionals who are trusted members of the communities in which they serve. As community-based workforce, CHWs have a unique understanding of their communities they serve, fostering trusting and collaborative relationships. These relationships enable CHWs to serve as liaisons between the community and the health and social services. Whereas community health workers are a historic, multifaceted workforce. They have supported their communities for centuries. CHWs work and volunteer under many titles, such as tribal healers, advocates, community health representatives, promotores de salud, aunties, and outreach workers. Whereas community health workers are a collaborative and cross-sector workforce, embracing a holistic approach to address social determinants of health and advance health. CHWs collaborate with various teams to improve access to care, improve community health knowledge, offer social supports, and navigation through systems. Whereas community health workers are a proven workforce, research studies from the past 60 years have demonstrated that CHWs are not only effective at addressing social determinants of health, but also have a high return on investment and cost savings for health systems. Whereas community health workers are a precarious workforce, the CHW workforce is comprised of individuals with various lived experiences and backgrounds, such as sex, faith, abilities, language, culture, race, and ethnicity. Due to these overlapping identities, CHWs face challenges like low pay and discrimination. Additionally, work exposes them to possible violence, disease, and vicarious trauma. Despite the challenges, CHWs continue to show up for their communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this 26th day of August 2025, the Washington County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim the fourth week of August as Community Health Worker Awareness and Appreciation Week, and encourages all residents and partners to commemorate, celebrate, and collaborate with community health workers. And I'll pass it over to Christelle.
Thank you. Good evening, all. My name is Crystal Tafoya. For the record, I'm working with Adelante Mujeres. I'm a CHW, peer support specialist, and doula as well. I'm going to read the Spanish version for you. Proclamando la cuarta semana de agosto con la semana de concientización y apreciación de los promotores de salud, considerando que el Condado de Washington reconoce las importantes contribuciones de los promotores de salud para mejorar los resultados de salud comunitaria, fomentando la colaboración a nivel local, estatal, federal para concientizar sobre el importante papel de los promotores de salud, considerando que los promotores de salud, o CHW por sus siglas en inglés, son profesionales de salud pública de primera línea y miembros confiables de la comunidad de la que sirven. Como fuerza laboral basada en la comunidad, los CHW tienen una comprensión única de las comunidades a las que sirven, fomentando relaciones de confianza y colaboración. Estas relaciones permiten a los promotores servir como puentes entre la comunidad y los servicios sociales y de salud. Considerando los promotores de salud son una fuerza laboral histórica y multifacética, han apoyado a sus comunidades durante siglos. Los CHW trabajan y se ofrecen como voluntarios bajo muchos títulos, como curanderos tribales, defensores, representantes de salud comunitaria, promotores de salud, tías, trabajadores de divulgación. Considerando que los promotores de salud son una fuerza laboral colaborativa e interseccional, adoptando un enfoque holístico para abordar las determinantes sociales de la salud y promover la salud en sí mismo. Los CHW colaboran con varios equipos para mejorar el acceso a la atención, mejorar el conocimiento de la salud en la comunidad, ofrecer apoyos sociales, navegación de otros sistemas, por ejemplo, vivienda, educación, etc. Considerando que los promotores de salud son una fuerza laboral comprobada, los estudios de la información de los últimos 60 años han demostrado que los CHW no son solo efectivos para abordar los determinantes sociales de salud, sino también tienen un alto retorno de la inversión, ahorros de costos para el sistema y de atención médica. Considerando que los promotores de salud son una fuerza laboral precaria, la fuerza laboral de los promotores de salud está compuesta por personas de diversas experiencias de vida y orígenes variados, como sexo, fe, habilidades, idioma, cultura, raza y etnia. Debido a estas identidades intercaladas, los promotores de salud enfrentan desafíos como bajos salarios, discriminación. Además del trabajo, los expone a diferentes actos de violencia, enfermedades, trauma vicario, y a pesar de estos desafíos, los promotores de salud continúan presentes para sus comunidades. Ahora, por lo tanto, se resuelve que este día, 26 de agosto del 2025, la Junta de Comisionados del Condado de Washington proclama la cuarta semana de agosto como la semana de concientización y apreciación de los promotores de salud y alienta a todos los residentes y socios a conmemorar y celebrar, así como colaborar con los promotores de salud. Thank you.
Excuse me, thank you very much. So with that, do we have comments from the board? Anybody?
Just thank you for your really important work in the community overall. I'm ready to make a motion, but I was going to let Commissioner Fye, given that.
We'll have other comments.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Commissioner Veit.
Thank you for your great presentation, and great to see you this evening. And nice to meet you, Orchwa. I remember Edna when she was over there. That was many, many years ago, not to date myself, but here. But congratulations, and thank you so much for reading in Spanish. You know, Washington County is the most diverse county in Oregon, so we're very proud. The cultural heritage that exists here, the diversity that exists, is what makes Washington County amazing, and a safe county and a great county to live in. So I'm going to be in supportive of this proclamation, and hopefully we can take a picture too. Are we doing pictures today? Okay. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, and thank you very much for bringing this proclamation forward. It's become even more obvious the importance of the work that you do from COVID and the implications and certainly the things that we're going to be dealing with for a few decades ahead, probably because of that. So we just thank you for your hard work, and certainly I want you to stay in the game because we need you.
I'd like to add to that. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for reading the proclamation in both Spanish and English. And most importantly, thank you for being the resource in this community that we trust, the resource that we depend on, and the resource that all of our community desperately needs. You are our angels. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Make your motion, Commissioner.
Well, I thought it was most appropriate.
There's a battle
for
going on tonight.
Someone that's worked in this space in the past to make the motion, but.
I'd be honored to just putting on my public health hat here. And as a Board of Commissioners, we are the public health authority for Washington County, so I move this motion.
I second.
All those in favor? Great. Thank you very much. Passes 4-0. And please don't leave. Let's take a picture. Anybody who's involved in community health, please come forward.
¿Tienes otro, Magdalena?
Can we get 2 rows, please? 2 rows, please. No, this isn't. I'm not a community health worker. I'm getting in for the next one. Oh, I have to get in for the next one. I need to take on 2 separate phones. So, 1, 2, 3. 1 second. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you, everybody. Got my paper. Oh, I thank you.
Okay, we need to get going here. And We have one more proclamation. This proclamation is the Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month proclamation. Please come forward. Good evening.
Good evening. Hola, buenas tardes. Vice Chair Treese and County Commissioners. My name is Yvette Zavala. I am a community health worker in Health and Human Services, and I am honored to introduce this proclamation as well as offer a few introductory remarks. Washington County cultural heritage celebrations and resource pages are an important starting point for our collective organizational engagement and learning about the community we serve. The diversity of lived experiences, equity, and inclusion, they offer an opportunity to enter and strengthen relationships with staff and community who recognize the important role that Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month offers. The Latin American community, like all cultures, is not monolithic. It encompasses a range of diverse lived experiences, contributions, and opinions. Even with the wide range of the Hispanic and Latin American experiences, the one thing we know to be true in Latinx history is American history, and it is essential to understanding the nation's full story and how Hispanic and Latin American heritage is an integral part of that story. Thank you to all of the Planning Committee members in partnership with Clean Water Services for their hard work and dedication to help educate the community. With that, I would like to turn it over to staff member Janet Ceja to read the proclamation in English and Monica Gutierrez to read the proclamation in Spanish.
Good evening, everyone. This is a proclamation in honor of Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month, September 15, 2025 through October 15, 2025. Whereas each year, the United States observes National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th by recognizing and celebrating the history, traditions, cultural diversity, and countless contributions of those whose ancestors were indigenous to North America, including Mexico, as well as those ancestors who came from Central America, South America, Spain, and the Caribbean. And
good evening, everyone. Una proclamación en honor al mes de la herencia hispana y latinoamericana, del 15 de septiembre del 2025 al 15 de octubre del 2025, considerando que cada año los Estados Unidos celebran el mes nacional de la herencia hispana del 15 de septiembre al 15 de octubre, reconociendo y celebrando la historia, las tradiciones, la diversidad cultural y las innumerables contribuciones de aquellos cuyos antepasados fueron indígenas de América del Norte, incluido México, así como aquellos que vinieron de América Central, América del Sur, España y el Caribe. Y considerando que la fecha del 15 de septiembre es significativa porque es el aniversario de la independencia de los países latinoamericanos de Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua. Además, México, Chile celebran sus días de independencia el 16 y 18 de septiembre respectivamente y
whereas the date September 15th is significant because it is the anniversary of independence for the Latin American countries of Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Additionally, Mexico and Chile celebrate their independence days on September 16th and September 18th, respectively. And
considerando que el Condado de Washington reconoce y honra la diversidad dentro de nuestras comunidades y un esfuerzo por fomentar un ambiente de inclusión y respeto, reconoce que los términos hispano y latina, latino, latinax, latine no son intercambiables, ya que aquellos que se identifican como hispanos pueden rastrear su herencia a países de habla hispana o a España. Por el contrario, latina, latino, latinax, latine abarca a las personas de países latinoamericanos que no necesariamente hablan español y que encarnan una variedad de orígenes raciales y étnicos que incluyen, entre otros, herencia indígena, africana, portuguesa, europea y asiática.
Whereas Washington County recognizes and honors the rich diversity within our communities, and in an effort to foster an environment of inclusivity and respect, acknowledges that the terms Hispanic and Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine are not interchangeable, as those who identify as Hispanic may trace their heritage to Spanish-speaking countries or Spain. Conversely, Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine encompasses individuals from Latin American countries who may not necessarily speak Spanish and embody a range of racial and ethnic backgrounds, including, but not limited to, Indigenous, African, Portuguese, European, and Asian heritage. And
considerando que el tema de este año, herencia colectiva, honrando el pasado, inspirando el futuro, reconoce a todos los hispanos y latinoamericanos que han sido pioneros, agentes de cambio e innovadores, abriendo el camino para las generaciones futuras. Considerando que la comunidad hispana y latinoamericana ha demostrado una resiliencia y fortaleza invaluables a lo largo de la historia, superando adversidades, rompiendo barreras y enriqueciendo nuestra sociedad mediante sus tradiciones profundamente arraigadas, ética de trabajo y compromiso con la comunidad y la familia. Y
whereas this year's theme, Collective Heritage, Honoring the Past, Inspiring the Future, recognizes all the Hispanic and Latin Americans who have been trailblazers, game changers, and innovators, paving the way for our future generations. Whereas the Hispanic and Latin American community has demonstrated invaluable resiliency and strength throughout our history, overcoming adversity, breaking barriers, and enriching our society through the deeply rooted traditions, work ethic, and commitment to community and family. And
considerando que nos volvemos a dedicar a abordar las barreras y la falta de igualdad de acceso a las oportunidades que muchos hispanos y latinoamericanos aún afrentan, y considerando que en el condado de Washington la población hispana y latinoamericana es ahora de 100,642, constituyendo aproximadamente el 17.9% de nuestra población total, con el poder adquisitivo económico que representa 3,000 millones para nuestra economía estatal y 6,300 empresas, propiedad en todo el estado. Y
I'm going to ask for a hold, please. And sir, would you please exit? You're interrupting. Either be quiet or leave the room. This is our time to hear this proclamation. It is very important to the commission, and it's important to our staff. Please be respectful in this room or exit. And continue.
And it's being read in English and Spanish.
Y considerando que los empleados hispanos y latinoamericanos del condado de Washington representan el 12% de nuestra fuerza laboral, brindando servicios y proporcionando liderazgo en todos los departamentos de nuestro condado, nuestros miembros del personal hispano y latinoamericano con más tiempo de servicio han contribuido más de 35 años de servicio continuo a nuestro condado y comunidades.
whereas we rededicate ourselves to addressing the barriers and the lack of equal access to opportunity that many Hispanic and Latin Americans still face, and whereas in Washington County, the Hispanic and Latin American population is now 107,642, constituting approximately 17.9% of our total population, representing $3 billion in economic purchasing power in the state of Oregon and 6,300 businesses owned statewide. And whereas Washington County's Hispanic and Latin American employees comprise 12% of our workforce, delivering services and providing leadership in all departments throughout our county. Our longest-serving Hispanic and Latin American staff members who have contributed over 35 years of continuous service to our county and communities. And
considerando que el Condado de Washington honra y reconoce las muchas formas en que los hispanos y latinoamericanos han enriquecido y continúan enriqueciendo el tejido de nuestra sociedad y condado como empresarios, atletas, artistas, animadores, científicos, servidores públicos y como socios comunitarios de confianza como Adelante Mujeres, Bienestar, Centro Cultural, Virginia García y Latino Network, todo lo cual está impulsando la prosperidad, el poder y el progreso en nuestras diversas comunidades.
Whereas Washington County honors and recognizes the many ways that Hispanics and Latin Americans have enriched and continue to enrich the fabric of our society and county as entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, entertainers, scientists, public servants, and as a trusted community partners like Adelante Mujeres, Bienestar, Centro Cultural, Virginia Garcia, and Latino Network, all of which are driving prosperity, power, and progress in our diverse communities.
Ahora, por lo tanto, se resuelve que en este día 26 de agosto de 2025, la Junta de Comisionados del Condado de Washington proclama del 15 de septiembre al 15 de octubre del 2025 como el mes de la herencia hispana y latinoamericana y alienta a todos los residentes a celebrar la historia única y vibrante de nuestras diversas comunidades y volver a comprometernos con un futuro compartido de comunidades saludables, pacíficas, seguras y sostenibles para todos.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this 26th day of August 2025, the Washington County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2025, as Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month and encourage all residents to celebrate the unique and vibrant history of our diverse communities and recommit ourselves to a shared future of healthy, peaceful, safe, and sustainable communities for all.
Thank you so much for your presentation of the proclamation. You did an outstanding job. I want you to know that we are all better that we are together and receiving this information for this proclamation in both English and Spanish. And I know I speak for the entire commission when I appreciate the fact that you are here and you are so welcome and such a vital part of what makes this county the best county to live in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, I'd ask other comments from the dais.
Thank you for continuing despite the disruption. I appreciate that. It's very important that we hear from you and have the information spoken both in English and Spanish, and I appreciate that.
Go ahead, Commissioner Willie.
Thank you. Appreciate it, especially in both languages.
Don't go.
Yeah, don't go away yet. I appreciate you all joining us tonight and doing this proclamation. I really appreciate you also braving through the disruption. To the gentleman in the audience, I am so embarrassed to stand you pulled. This Washington County, we're the most diverse counties, and that's what makes us all be the successful county we are. And also, as somebody on this dais here, somebody that is sitting here, I came to this country not speaking a single word of English. A single word of English. That's the American dream, sir. And that's what you heard tonight. What you witnessed is the success that exists in Washington County and what makes Washington County the county that it is today. So we celebrate you. Thank you for coming. And I am so glad that you braved through and do better, sir. Do better. You could do better.
With that, I move to proclaim Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month.
Second that motion.
All those in favor, both hands? Thank you very much, and let's come up forward for a picture.
Pleasure and honor.
move this forward. Alrighty, thank you very much. At this point, we're going to be moving on to public hearings. Tonight, we're going to be holding a public hearing to adopt findings exempt from competitive bidding requirements and approve the use of progressive design-build procurement process for the Fanno Creek Inceptor Rehabilitation and Improvements Project number 7181. And I believe we have a staff report for this. Thank you very much.
Presentation tonight. I'm Wade Denny. I'm the Conveyance Engineering Division Manager, and we'll be making a request from the board. So tonight we'll be requesting the board to hold a public hearing and adopt the proposed findings to exempt us from competitive bidding for our progressive design bid contracting methodology for the delivery of our Fanno Creek Interceptor and Rehab project. So a little project information, a little background. The Fanno Creek Interceptor was installed in the late 60s and it's definitely showing its age now. We completed an East Basin master plan in 2021, which identified the FCI to be capacity deficient in about the 2030 horizon. This project is aimed at rehabilitating about 9.4 miles of the Interceptor. The Interceptor is about 27 to 60 inches in diameter. We'll be using UV cured in place pipe to cure and rehab that pipeline. Ultimately, rehabbing the FCI is going to extend its useful life for another 50 years. It's also going to address some of the risks that we have currently with some influence that we could potentially have from Fanno Creek. We're also going to reduce some I&I, some inflow and infiltration, and enhance some of the areas impacted by construction ultimately. A little more project information. This project's a pretty large project for us. We're going to be rehabbing, in addition to the pipeline, about 155 manholes, adding some new maintenance holes as well. We're going to be rehabbing some of the collector sewers to help further reduce the I&I influences on the Interceptor. We're going to be building some more maintenance access roads, abandoning some existing parallel line that's no longer needed once we make this improvement. We're going to be crossing a lot of properties, about 113 properties. So we'll have a lot of impact from construction. There's going to be very heavy permitting on this project, and the cost of design and construction is estimated right now to be about $108 million. We recently completed a feasibility study which analyzed the best way to deliver this project. Coming out of that feasibility, the recommendation was made to use alternative contracting for this delivery. So up on the screen here is a matrix. The far column on the left-hand side shows traditional design bid build type delivery, and the other three columns show alternative deliveries, one being CMGC, the other one being design build, and the other one being progressive design build. Based on the analysis that we undertook, we saw that the progressive design bid methodology seemed to work better for us. We thought there was a little more collaboration with that methodology, and we also saw more cost certainty by setting a GMP early on, like around the 60% design level. So the staff is recommending that we use the progressive design bid methodology to move this project forward. We looked at this and made sure that we thought this project was going to cause any type of favoritism or diminish any competition. This process is still very competitive. We're advertising this much the same way as we do any other traditional bids. We're going to be using the selection criteria within the RFP to make the ultimate selection. So based on both the cost of their services as well as their experience. We thought that by using this methodology, we'd be able to ultimately better negotiate with that PDB team based on the highest scoring proposal of the RFP solicitation. We thought that this award under exemption process will likely reduce some of the risk associated with scheduling and change orders, also allow early input from the contractor into the design of the project. There's going to be some flexibility created with this methodology during the construction process to work with the public as those demands come up and those impacts happen. We're also going to help establish early price certainty by setting a GMP guarantee maximum price around the 60% level. We'll have early certainty in our costs. We'll be able to budget better for that and prepare. We'll also be building some work packages in so we can package up the work products to best work with the needs that we have and the permits that were currently in place for the project. Through this process, we'll be able to better manage some of the supply chain issues that we're likely to see with some of the longer lead time materials. We'll share in the permitting and the right-of-way acquisition with the selected team, so we'll have shared level of risk there. And ultimately, through this process, we'll be able to, reconstruct the FCI in a way that allow us to continue to serve our stakeholders for another 50-plus years. So today, I'm going to ask the board to open a public hearing and consider adopting the findings for the use of alternative contracting. Couple next steps with the board. Once we've selected, pending the approval of this process, and once we've selected a PDB firm to move forward with, we'll be bringing it back to the board for the approval of that contract. And then we'll be touching bases with the board when we have these guaranteed maximum price project packages put into place. We'll be coming back to the board to make a request for the approval of those packages to move forward with construction and final design in the future as part of phase 2. Any questions today for me?
Thank you for your presentation. Are there questions before we open a public hearing?
Yeah, I'm reading your summary rather than your slide presentation, and I just want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding something. The slide presentation under Exhibit A2 says the budget is $130 million, and I think your slide says 108. Am I mixing two numbers?
There's two different numbers on there. I got to look at, I think the 130 million might be a typo. The 108, I think, is the correct number on there. We can follow up with you on that correct number.
All right, I wanted to make sure 108 was our number. And then secondly, how long is this project going to take you? And can you give us a scope of how many subcontractors, small businesses maybe that would be involved in this project?
There's going to be a lot of players involved with this project. It's about probably a 5-year duration project for construction. We're going to need at least probably 3 to 4 construction seasons to complete the work because it's in this wet creek corridor area, so we're going to have to kind of work within the drier months of the year. As far as exact number of businesses impacts, it's hard to put an estimate on that.
I'm just trying to put a little bit of an economic spin to it that these are important projects and that you employ a lot of individuals and businesses in the process of this. So that makes it even more valuable to me. So yeah, and any time that you're crossing, what did you say? You're crossing 113 private properties?
Yes, yes.
It's going to take you some time. So, okay, thank you. I don't have anything else, Chair.
Are there other questions? Questions? At this time, I'd like to open a public meeting. Clerk Moss, do we have anybody who would like to provide comment?
Thank you, Vice Chair Teresa. I did not see anyone sign up before the meeting. Is there any member of the auditorium that wishes to provide public comment on this staff report public hearing as you've heard? Don't raise your hands or come forward.
How many miles was it? 9.4.
You may come forward and and provide testimony.
No, just I want to know mileage.
Okay.
How many miles was it? I missed that.
We are out of, you can answer the question. Sir, please, you do not have the opportunity to ask questions from your seat. Go ahead.
9.4 miles.
Thank you. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to close the public meeting and ask for a motion.
Vice Chair Teresa, I'll make the motion to approve. The requested action.
Second.
All those in favor? We have 4 positive votes, and that it passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I would like to now move on to our action items. We have 3 action items. The first is to approve the proposal for a 5-year library levy the library local option levy. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That's 4-0. The action passes. The next one is the approval of the proposal for a 5-year public safety local option levy. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the requested action.
I would second it, but I think Aaron might be, were you getting ready to present?
I'm happy to provide a staff report, but I realize the commissioners, you have all seen this report several times, and so whatever your board
We've already
prefers.
approved it once,
Yes.
too.
Yep.
Yes,
I thought we had 2. We're making sure.
We're doubling down here. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Any opposed? 4-0 passes. All righty. With that, I'd like to read a short statement. This is our action item number 3. This is to approve the temporary closure of Southwest River Road for required Witch Hazel Village South improvements. So as I noted in the beginning of the meeting, this item was moved from the consent agenda to the action items. We'll receive short briefings from the county staff and the applicant, take board questions, and then we will take public comment for up to 2 minutes per person on this proposed road closure request. If you haven't signed up to speak on this road closure, sign-up sheets are available in the back of the auditorium. If you're going to be joining us, or if you are joining us on Zoom, we ask that you use the raise hand function in Zoom if you want to comment on this item for up to 2 minutes. In the interest of time, please avoid repeating prior speakers' comments. I also want to note that staff have provided all emails that have been submitted about this item to the board for our review as well. With that, I'll turn it over to Director Roberts.
Thank you, Vice Chair Treese and Commissioners. I'm Stephen Roberts, Director of Land Use and Transportation. I'm joined by a few folks here. To my right, immediate right, is Stacy Shetler, our county engineer. Stacy's going to walk you through a brief staff presentation. Next to him is Patrick Espinoza with Pacific Community Design, and Patrick is the applicant's representative for this proposal. And then Pam Verdadero from New Home Company is here as well, the developer. So we'll turn things over to Stacy and then to Patrick for some technical information and presentation that I think may help provide some additional context for why we're asking for what is a lengthy closure. I want to just acknowledge that. I mentioned it to you in the work session earlier. This is my commute route as well, so this is not something that will affect me directly as well. And I did want to just maybe make a couple of quick introductory comments that we don't take these proposals lightly. So by the time we bring forward a proposal like this to the board, it's been through a significant amount of vetting between our county staff and the applicants and the contractors that are actually going to be performing the work. And I thought maybe I could just set a little bit of context around the proposal. The Witch Hazel Village South is a large urban an urban growth boundary expansion area. It was approved by Metro in 2018. Within that area, there's going to be a total of around 900 total housing units constructed over some period of time. The immediate project that's being constructed right now is going to be a relatively smaller subset of that, about 240 units, I believe, of housing. But the utility infrastructure that is being constructed with this first phase of development will serve that entire 900-unit urban growth boundary expansion. And I believe, and Patrick could confirm this, but I believe also provides some additional capacity for areas that are currently outside the urban growth boundary, but designated as urban reserves. So land that is rural now, but could potentially be added to the urban growth boundary at some point in the future. So this is an investment in a longer-term need. This is public infrastructure that will provide support for a pretty significant area of additional housing. I spoke to Vice Chair Treese yesterday. The days were running together. I think it was yesterday. And you asked for just a little bit of context and information in terms of just housing demand in Washington County. So we received from the state of Oregon some draft housing target numbers for different jurisdictions, and their task was to look at every city and every county in the state and develop some housing targets based on population projections and housing demand. And so just for the unincorporated portions of Washington County, our 20-year target is over 20,000 units. In the city of Hillsborough, their 20-year target is in the range of, I want to say, about 10,000 units. So there's a significant need for additional housing. And so again, this is some foundational infrastructure that will help serve at least this area in years into the future. So we want to acknowledge there's definitely going to be some short-term pain associated with a closure like this, but we want to also reiterate that there's a long-term gain in having this infrastructure constructed now. And so with that, I'll turn over to Stacy Shetler.
Thank you, Stephen. Stacy Shetler, County Engineer, Washington County.
And we'll go into a short staff report here talking about the proposed actions. And so as Stephen mentioned, Witch Hazel Road South subdivision is under construction currently. They're doing on-site grading right now. And it's on the development's on the east side of River Road. River Road's a county-managed road in the city of Hillsborough. The land use went through the city of Hillsborough land use process. What's being proposed is a 165-day, which equates to 5.5 months road closure, and that's been requested, as Stephen said, to install a sanitary sewer line. If approved tonight, the closure would begin following 2 weeks of notice and not sooner than September 9th. It's a little small on the map, but as you can see, the area in blue is Witch Hazel South. The green is the detour. The detour is about 12 miles, about 18-minute delay to go around that, and the location is about 3.5 miles from the Farmington River Road roundabout. So just to set a little background of process, so the Oregon revised statutes allow utilities to be placed in the county right-of-way. The ORS has also authorized your board as the road authority to place vehicle restrictions on county-managed streets and roads. Per our county policy, any closures over 30 days come before the board. And what we found as we looked at this at a high level, River Road carries about 8,000 vehicles a day in the closure area. The pipe being installed is a 21-inch diameter sanitary sewer line that will be owned and managed by the city of Hillsborough. Now this is where it gets interesting, and that's the depth of this pipe is 30 feet deep in places, so this is significant construction activity. It's also being placed near the center of the road to avoid utility conflicts, and in Patrick's slide, he'll show some of those conflicts. The construction activities will be creating a 9-foot wide, 90-foot in length hole in the ground to work in, and that will reduce the remaining available road width to approximately 5 feet in some places. And so this is much too narrow to allow traffic moving at the same time. One of the features and time-sensitive part of this is the seasonally low water table. And so at 30 feet deep, September and October are the optimal times to do this work. If there are delays, then the work would take even longer, as they would need to pump water out of this hole at the same time they're trying to work. And one of the benefits of this closure is that Clean Water Services, who we've talked to, would also be able to install a separate sewer force main at the same time. So construction under flagging is normally the preferred method by the county and is required in most cases. However, in this case, closure with a detour is the most feasible. The width and depth of the working trench combined with the poor soils, this area is near Tualatin River, and so very sandy, very unstable soils. And with a limited width of the remaining pavement precludes through traffic. The extensive trench shoring system, which requires driving piles into the ground so these heavy sheets of steel can be placed to protect the workers, will be done in a constant manner. And the dump trucks removing materials will need place to stage as materials being excavated from the trench. Access to the affected residents and for emergency services will be maintained at all times. And delays caused by the construction flagging can be up to 20 minutes and are likely similar to the detour times that would be experienced. The county is working with a developer as we're going along to try and look for opportunities to limit the closure impact by exploring night work, extended shifts, and construction under flagging where appropriate. And some of these items would need to be approved by the city of Hillsborough for like night work and noise ordinance. So the input we've received so far, a lot of community and local resident concerns about the duration of the closure, about having access to their properties, detoured traffic, and the impact to other intersections in the area. We've also heard concerns from the contractor about worker safety and productivity if the closure isn't granted. And then, as Stephen mentioned, Patrick will have additional information, including the alternatives that we considered while we considered this closure. And then also, we will be getting public comments after the presentations. And so staff asks that you accept and consider the public input that's provided tonight. And then we ask that you approve authorization for the temporary road closure of Southwest River Road for up to 165 days.
Good evening, Commissioners, Vice Chair. My name is Patrick Espinosa. I'm the Principal Civil Engineer with Pacific Community Design. I've been working with New Home on the construction documents for this project and been coordinating with the contractor and the county on this potential road closure. I wanted to just give a few highlights of the construction process that's going to take place, some of the alternatives that we looked at to determine if a road closure was the best request moving forward, and just to kind of explain the project a little bit. As Stephen mentioned, the deep sewer line in this location is part of the Witch Hazel Village South Community Plan that was approved by the City of Hillsborough. This exhibit shown on this particular slide is the approved sewer alignment which runs down River Road. So as Stephen mentioned, this is implementing the city's approved community plan. This next slide is a little bit zoomed in look at our particular project area. Shown there in the green hatch is the extents of the deep sewer installation that's anticipated with these first two phases. The Witch Hazel boundary is shown there in yellow, and in red is the project limits of these first two phases. I think a couple things of note is that the deep sewer installation extends through existing community here in Hillsborough along River Road between Davis Road and Oakhurst Street. So there are houses existing on each side of that road where we're mostly constrained, and also show some slides here coming up. And also of note is that there's a parcel that, it's an out parcel that kind of is in the middle of our first two projects there. Hopefully you can see it there along River Road. That's not part of these phases of construction, not part of the developer's land acquisition. So that has created also some additional challenges in terms of finding alternative flagging routes or alternative vehicle routes for flagging opportunities. This next slide is a quick graphical section showing the construction activity along our first stretch of work. This is the work between Davis Road and Oakhurst, where we're most constrained by existing development to the east and west. This is also where we have the deepest section of sewer line. As noted in the graphic on the left, the cross section, it's a fairly large excavator needed to extend down to the depths of 30 feet. It has quite a big turning radius. You can see how that basically the top of the excavator extends into the adjacent travel lane next to the excavator. And as Stacy mentioned, there's always going to be a need for a dump truck on the side to place that excavated material. So as you can also see on the section view, there are several utilities that have basically constrained where we can locate the sewer, including existing stormwater infrastructure and high pressure gas line on the east side of the road, and then both domestic water, non-potable recycled water, and additional stormwater infrastructure on the west side of the road. One of the big things I wanted to make a note of on this slide is that those are people at the bottom of this 31-foot deep trench working. And so safety is paramount to us. We don't take this request lightly either. We know it's a big ask of the community, but we're also very concerned with the safety of the contractors who are expected to perform this work. This next slide is the next section of work, not quite as constrained as that first section, as we only have existing development to the west. We start getting slightly shallower. We're only now 18 to 20 feet deep on this sewer trench. We have some of the same constraints on the west side, and on the east side now we're dealing with overhead utilities and existing power poles that are constraining opportunities to provide methods for vehicles to navigate the construction site. So this slide is an example of some of the traffic detours we looked at. One of the detours we investigated was a potential detour through the construction site. We were concerned about this particular route just due to the ongoing on-site construction. There will be road construction on site, utility construction on site. Deterring the vehicles through the construction site would still require quite a bit of flagging. And frankly, we didn't think it was very feasible or safe, and it didn't dramatically reduce the trip extensions around this site. One of the items that we saw on one of the email comments was the potential of taking a road through our site and to the east up to Brookwood to help eliminate some of the length of the detour. Unfortunately, the property to the east of our site is not owned by this developer at this time, so we wouldn't have access to the site, and we would also need to construct a creek crossing along a little tributary that leads to Gordon Creek in order to allow vehicles to traverse that direction. So that wasn't a feasible option either. One of the items that we looked at was the elimination of the need of the gravity sewer by installing a pump station. Basically, the depth of the sewer, one of the requirements for the depth is getting underneath Gordon Creek Road as we traverse further south down River Road. In order to eliminate the section that crosses Gordon Creek Road, we'd have to put a pump station south of Gordon Creek for future development. I think this would increase costs incurred by CWS for the construction and maintenance of that new pump station, I think somewhere in the $1.5 to $2 million range. The pump station would need to be located at the southern end of the Witch Hazel Village community, which currently not owned by the developer or CWS. And as we looked into this option, the River Road sewer extension would still be required from Davis Road, the existing pump station, down to the development. So we'd still be looking at a 3 to 4 month closure, as the depth of that sewer would probably only be reduced by about 7 feet. We'd still be dealing with the poor soils and potential water table through that section. Another option we looked at was bringing the sewer trunk off of River Road and through our site. Again, this would still require the section between Davis Road and Oakhurst to be constructed down to our site, again taking roughly 3 to 4 months of a likely road closure to the north. In addition to this particular alignment, it does add several hundred feet to the length of the trunk line, which at the end of the day raises the sewer about 2 feet at the end of our project, which would then negate its ability to cross under Gordon Creek and service those future developments. So we ended up moving on from this alternative because it didn't provide the service area that CWS was anticipating and the city was anticipating. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. And this concludes all presentations. Is that correct, Director Roberts?
Yes.
Okay, great. I would like to ask for questions now from the commission. Go ahead, Commissioner Snyder.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, I had provided the staff with, I think, 3 questions a couple days ago that I was hoping would be covered. 2 of the 3 were covered. One was not, at least I didn't hear it very explicitly or at all. And that was specifically if the county by law is required to approve this closure, and if it's not required and we don't approve it, then what happens?
Yeah, so I think it's a complicated question, but by law, utilities are allowed to utilize the county road right-of-way. We can't preclude the use of the county right-of-way for utilities. We can place certain restrictions on that, like work hours and various things, but we don't have the ability to tell a utility they can't utilize the county right-of-way. Within that sort of parameter and the limitations that the county may choose to impose can't be unreasonable to the point where they would preclude the ability to build in the utility right-of-way. So I'm hoping that gets to the first part of your question, and then maybe to the second part, I might look to Patrick to try to help flesh out if this wasn't approved, what's the fallback plan?
Yeah, I believe if the full road closure wasn't approved, we'd obviously have to do flagging. We really do not have another option for sanitary sewer service for this community. The biggest concern, obviously, is the section between Davis Road and Oakhurst, which it's very much constrained. We would have to add flaggers. I don't have a very exact estimate of the extension of the work, the timeline for the work, if we did flag that section of road. My guess is it's in the 60-day range to extend the work within this corridor by allowing or by flagging the traffic. Again, there's a ton of different factors with that timeline, mainly what the soil conditions are when we're 30 feet deep. But
You've stated the flagging is just not workable from a safety perspective. So are you saying it's an option? Or not?
I think I would say it's not preferable from a safety option. I'd say especially through the stretch between Oakhurst and Davis Road, I don't see how it can efficiently work, flagging that section of road, because of the existing constraints surrounding it.
Thank you.
Are there other questions?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Stephen and company, I will call it. Thank you for joining us tonight and presenting this information. Patrick, I hear you loud and clear, and I appreciate the complexity of this project and how you present it. It's coming across. This is a very complex. And I hear you that there's what you said around not workable for you around flagging and but 167 days or 65?
165.
165 days. Those are significant days, and they're impacting significant lives. And to use an analogy here, life that's relevant here, life is about living in mainstream and common sense. So your company, I'm wondering if you could present multiple options that says, this is our least favorite, this is our middle ground, and the 165 is preferred to really get this job done. Because I think right now, I don't know how to negotiate with the residents that are critically impacted, but I think we can negotiate with you, right, and say, what does that look like? Yeah, it's not feasible financially. It's probably going to prolong, which means more money out of your pocket. But could you present 2 to 3 options for us to say, we really did our due diligence here, and we considered all the facts that option 1, this is what it means, and option 2, this is what it means, and option 3, it's 165 days. So I don't know if you could do it tonight, but I'm really looking forward to like what's in it for the residents and who are the people that are elected us to be in these seats. How do we convince them to say we made the best decision, that we looked all the options here? And I'll wait for you to respond if you have anything to.
Yeah, I think to provide that specific information, I would definitely want the contractor available since they're the ones taking on the risk. Unfortunately, they're not here today, so that would be something that we could provide the board at a separate time.
The signed detour uses other arterial roads. That's the county's policy, and so that's a 12-mile detour, and approximately, if you Google that, 18 minutes. Now, if they do the flagging operation, they're going to have to delays longer than that, and so really the benefit of the flagging is to get the project done faster, and of the closure is to get the project done faster, because if they don't work in the in-water work, not in-water work, but at the low water table, it's going to be even longer than the 5 months that's projected. And so under flagging, the delays could be longer for the community.
I hear you. Were you going to jump in? I'll be quick, Commissioner Willie. I hear you, what you're saying, but and I think most of us, especially I also travel on that road. I think road closures are inevitable and part of life. I think many of us know that. What's missing here is the options and show your work, as my math teacher used to say. Show how did we arrive to this, and could we entertain a bit more option that is middle ground, right? Main Street. Where is that Main Street? And I couldn't pinpoint. And while I recognize road closure is inevitable and part of life, and Stephen helped me understand that residents will have accessibility to get to in and out, and also our police or like life-saving vehicles will be able to access that road and do what they have to do to provide the critical services to the residents. But I'm just not sure I'm comfortable or have the enough information to say I've made an informed decision tonight to say, yes, let's go forward with the closure. So maybe, I don't know if there's an option to delay or to come back and entertain different, just recalibrate what we're trying to do here and provide that middle ground so that we can say to the residents, you don't like it, plan A, but could you live with that plan B? And I don't know what that plan B is tonight.
Right.
Commissioner Willie?
Well, I think Stephen was going to respond.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If it's okay, I was just going to say, I think to Commissioner Fai's question, I think Patrick's presentation they've really done a good job, I think, of trying to look at potentially viable alternatives, and for various reasons, none of those have panned out. And again, that's part of the exercise that we've been going through as a part of our evaluation of this request before we bring it before you, is really teasing out, are there other feasible, viable, safe alternatives to a closure, or certainly a closure of that duration. So I think Patrick's team has done a pretty good job of that. I think, to your point, there may be some opportunity to drill down into the details a little bit further, but I want to reiterate, particularly in the already developed section between Davis and Oakhurst, it's so constrained in that existing right-of-way. So again, with all the things, I think Patrick's drawing did a good job of illustrating just the constraints that are going to be imposed in the right-of-way. And we just don't see physically how you accommodate moving cars, even a single lane of moving cars in the middle of all of that construction activity, just physically. And then I think on top of that, even if you said, okay, we'll maybe try to find a way to facilitate the movement of one line of vehicles through at a time, I think that would be a real compromise in safety both for the people that are driving through and also the people that are working in the work zone. And I think an interesting statistic, I think I may have mentioned this to Vice Chair Treese, was that we do a proclamation every year with your support of work zone safety awareness, because we have county employees that are out doing this kind of work as well. And we want to try to help ensure that they all make it home safely at the end of the day to their families and friends. And but an interesting statistic is that the majority of people that are killed and injured in work zones are actually people in cars. And that's because there are just unanticipated conditions. There are things that happen with trucks and equipment moving around. People are driving distracted or driving too fast for the conditions. And so, interestingly enough, while worker deaths are tragic and far too many, it's actually people that are in vehicles are the ones who are most likely to be injured or to die in a work zone crash. So we're really looking at the safety holistically, right? Not just convenience, certainly not just convenience for the developer, but we're really trying to help evaluate what's really the safest alternative.
Thank you. Commissioner Willie.
Yeah, and I'll be quick about this because I appreciate your response to me today, Stephen, about why couldn't we have one-lane traffic, and the project going right down the middle of the road and not having access on either side of the road to create that was a good answer to me. I've traveled through that section a lot, heading to Sherwood and beyond, and certainly down River Road. I can tell you that the roundabout at River Road in Farmington, I got caught once in the flagging and didn't do it again. I figured out how to get out and around, and I think that's, quite frankly, the neighborhoods are going to be the biggest, probably have the biggest impact around this, because people will find a different way to go around. And yeah, it's going to be 165 days of pain, but when we get all said and done with it, it's going to be a significant improvement and allow for more housing in the future. So it's kind of like we got to bite the bullet. So that's where I am. So I appreciate your information today, Stephen. Thank you.
So I'd like to finish our comments here, and then we'll open for public comment. Thank you for your presentation, and I did see embedded in your presentation the options that were considered, but not as beneficial as the option that's presented. So I do think that we did see those options come forward, with caveated as to what the difficulties were. The other piece that I have that I'd like to raise is in one of the communications I've had is the concern about Rosa Road and also Rosemont. Is it Rosemont that's below?
Rosedale.
Thank you, Rosedale. I think that I had the moment to talk with Stacy about it before this meeting tonight, and about the importance of the signage and making sure that we are being really aware of the problems on Rosa, which is a one-lane street that's gravel for the most part. The people that live and function on that understand where the pullouts are so that cars can get past, but the regular traveler does not on that road. And so it's really important, from my perspective, that we have excellent signage, local access only, and that it's frankly very difficult to get into either of those areas, and we have to protect the safety and the well-being of those neighborhoods as well. So I would bring that forward. With that, thank you for your presentations. I appreciate the knowledge. I'd like to open for public comment. Clerk Moss,
Thank you.
Each person is. No, you yes. You can register your question in your comments. How's that? So.
Right. Thank you, Vice Chair Treese. First, we have April Spots, followed by Marilyn Reichart.
Please state your name as well. Thank you.
Hi, I'm April Spot. Thank you for allowing public comment tonight. I've been in my home for 31 years, and I'm on the west side, across the street from the development on River Road, and I'm in the closure map. My well is 20 feet from River Road, and I think I'm in phase 3. We have received no information in over a year. The reason there has been no opposition is there has been no notification. My neighbors and I learned of the proposed 5.5 months closure of this main arterial from the Hillsborough Herald. I have attended most of the planning presentations, and the sewer line was always presented much further east. It must have been well known for over a year ago that September has the lowest water table in that area. So I didn't understand where the proactivity and why the 2-week notice. It seems like it's in a hurry now, but until tonight I had not seen the official plan, and I can't find any official plans on the sewer lines. Online search simply says, as the development is still underway, detailed engineering plans are not publicly posted online. So I didn't know if it was going to be in the middle of the road until tonight. So not allowing River Road to be closed and relocating the sewer line off-road now may involve higher upfront effort, but it will provide long-term benefits, fewer disruptions, safer traffic, and greater goodwill with the neighborhood. It also demonstrates proactive planning and commitment to minimizing the project's impact on the community. I believe the adjustment is a practical step that balances project's efficiency with the needs of residents and road users, ensuring smoother operations. I ask that the Board of Commissioners deny the developers and contractors' closure of River Road until all options are presented and reviewed. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Spots. Next.
Madam Vice Chair, we had Marilyn Reichart, followed by Robert Marina. He's no longer here. Okay. Steve Slottenberg and Sarah Christensen. Oh. Okay, Robert, yeah.
You saying Steve Stoltenberg?
Yes.
You both can come forward so that you're ready. Please come forward and take a seat.
Hi, my name is Robert Marina. The presentation was definitely helpful for providing information. I live on River Road on the west side, just by Rosa, and we too have gotten no notice, no information, nothing in this time. A couple questions I guess I would have for that. I would like to see multiple options like you had mentioned, Commissioner Pai, about what it would be able to do and more details with that. But you mentioned that the water table is at the lowest during September and October, but this is a 5-month project. Wouldn't that take that into January, where then we are in flood season of December and January, where River Road's, the table of the Tualatin is very high, and so I don't know how much of the depth is involved with the digging and all of the extra information there, but if we're going to go into the heaviest rain season and be digging at that time, it just does not seem to make sense with that. Yeah, I was basically only informed of this because my aunt had read the article and passed this along. It kind of seemed a little bit weird that all of the questions that you guys had, that this was a consent item that was just going to go through. I'm sure they've presented you with some stuff, but how was this not a public hearing or any public notice beforehand on such a magnitude of closing River Road? I mean, if 8,000 people are traveling on this every single day, none of us were notified until it's supposed to happen in 2 weeks after this. That seems quite urgent for something of this magnitude. So due diligence is something that I would definitely like to see, and showing your work and getting all of the information would, I think, be helpful to a lot of the residents who were all taken aback. None of my neighbors have known about this. We have 2 businesses that are right on the street of River Road there. They have not heard about this, so it just seems really like a spur-of-the-moment thing, and so I'd ask the commission to deny this until we get further information.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Okay, Steve Stoltenberg. Directional boring. Has that option been explored? You're talking about a 165-day closure, like the gentleman just talked about before. It's going to be extended out. So how long is this delay? And can it not be put off to the side of the road this sewer system in the right-of-way? Those are questions you guys have not addressed. I don't understand, especially when there are 8,000 vehicles a day driving that road. Has there been an environmental impact statement made on this? That would be another question to you guys. So I'm just at odds because I just found out about this 3 days ago too. Who's trying to sneak this in? And the other thing that I was basically made aware of, where's the city of Hillsborough? This is not Washington County project. This is city of Hillsborough. What are you guys trying to sneak through? You are supposed to be a representative of the people. And my last comment is I have a constitutional right to ask questions. And when you try and shut me down and tell me that I'm out of order, that is a constitutional violation by you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Next, Sarah Christensen and Shannon Wrench.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for holding this meeting tonight. I won't echo what's already been said, but I do feel the same way in what's been presented so far. We're living at on River Road, 4270 Southwest River Road. We're right in the middle of all of this. So I do appreciate your comments and questions about due diligence because this is a major and direct impact on us as well as others that are alongside River Road. So questions that are also comments is I'm curious about what the request or approval process would be if night work was considered. I saw that there was a comment in here about potential for that. What notice is provided to impacted residences? And then also just wanting to know a little bit more information on what night work would look like. We already have 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday construction noise that's going on around us. So the thought of having night work right outside, our bedroom is closest to River Road, so the thought of that doesn't allow me restful sleep. So I just wanted to make those comments and see if those could be addressed as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And would you please state your name?
Shannon Wrench.
Thank you.
Is there any other member in the auditorium that wishes? Gary Richardson.
Hi, I'm Gary Christensen. I live on River Road, and like the others, we received no indication of what was going on until a couple of days ago. But my concern right now is if you close River Road, and I look at the proposal for the detour, it looks like it's going to take a small road through, I think, Rude Bridge Road, which is a 2 90-degree turns, and also if you're heading south, there's a hill that if somebody tries to pass, you can't see somebody coming the other way. So if there's 8,000 cars going on that road, I highly suspect you're going to see a lot of accidents on there. Also, you're going through a school zone, a hill high, and you're going to be affected in the morning by the school buses going through there, kids crossing the road, then trying to get back on the River Road to go either direction there to where you need to be. So I think you would have to also let the community on that side know if you're going to have them detour through there, what to expect, and let them have feedback in on this project as well. So that was my major concerns on the proposed detour, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Right, the last in-person I have is Carol Schoen. Carol?
Carol Schoen?
Okay, my question is, for us people that do live on River Road that have a small business, how do we maintain with our customers? If they're not allowed to come on River Road, I mean, how do we take care, I mean, how do I take care of something like that when they can't come to my farm? I mean, it would be lost revenue for myself. Are we going to be compensated for what we lose when we can't have somebody come? Anyway, that's mainly my question.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Is there any other person in the auditorium that wishes to provide a comment? Please come forward, ma'am, and state your name for the record.
Thank you. I'm sorry I was just a little bit late, but I did go on the sign-up sheet.
Thank you.
Thank you for
state your name.
Oh, yeah. My name is Lisa Duplessis. I live on Rosa Road. So thank you for your concerns, Vice Chair, about Rosa Road. I'm not very familiar with how these things work, but logic dictates to me that people will ignore the signs and take the temptation to go from River down Rosa to 229th. It happens right now anyway, despite the inconvenience of it being a one-lane dirt road, so they can get to all the development on the northeast side of us. So thank you for asking questions. It seems as if the developer's lack of planning is creating an emergency of why we're all sitting here right now trying to get this approved with a 2-week window. Myself and my neighbors, I can't speak for them, but from what I'm hearing, we all heard about it as well through the Hillsborough Herald recently. So that doesn't give us much time to think about alternatives to help you out with suggestions. One thing that has been brought up is if the road closure started at Rosedale, then the detour could happen starting at Rosedale. And then only through traffic could go up river for residents, such as those of us that live on Rosa Road. Another thing to consider too is if people cheat and get on Rosa Road, we've had cars parked there. We have to lean on Washington County Sheriff's Services repeatedly to get broken down cars and campers removed off our road. So that's another concern. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. We normally do not allow people to come back once they have made their comment, please. So let's move forward. Clerk Moss.
We'll move to our 3 online, starting with Courtney Blackman. Courtney, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead for up to 2 minutes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, commissioners, for hearing the public comments today. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. I really appreciate the individuals presenting these plans. However, I am a Phoenix, Arizona native. As you know, Phoenix, Arizona is booming like crazy. And my husband and I moved from the state about 2 years ago to come to wonderful Oregon. And a big problem that we have down in Arizona is expansion for the sake of expansion. And that is what I unfortunately am seeing here as someone who wants to own a home. Having a developer come through and try and dissuade areas from closing roads, yes, sorry, I apologize, isn't in the best interest of the community. I do live currently in this area, in Witch Hazel, off of Lone Oak Street. And what we find in our neighborhood is that people are parking on the street all the time. I was also part of the North Bethany area closure on Springville, and we had areas of people traveling far distances, and in order to get them to go around, they would just go through the neighborhoods. I have concerns because there are elementary and middle schools in this area. And while I am not a parent myself, I see the number of families in this neighborhood. I see the number of people with children, with their animals. My husband walks on a daily basis. I worry for their safety because people will go around the construction.
Thank you for your comments.
Right, next, we have Dirk Knudsen. Mr. Knudsen, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Are you there, Dirk?
I am here.
All right, please go ahead for up to 2 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So 3 days ago, 2.5 days ago, not one opposing document in the county's file. I don't know how many there are now, but if it takes somebody that your staff has called a hack blogger to write something about a consent agenda item that never should have been one, then I'll own that. Okay? And I'm a little fired up. There's no equity lens applied to this. Most of the people that are going to not make it to work or to school will never own one of these homes. I work for people like New Home Corporation for 30 years. All they care about is cutting costs. The plans you were showed tonight were high-level cursory plans. Today, by public information request, I received from the city of Hillsborough the sewer plans, and they are not where those maps showed. They will not be approved for 3 weeks from now, according to Charlie Shell, our city engineer in Hillsborough. So new homes won't even break ground until October. And then you're going to be asked for another 5-month extension. So let me take a deep breath and say this. We build sewers one manhole at a time. We don't worry about cutting open a trench 400 feet long. And if you start at Davis and you get to Oakfield, you'll be able to build this quicker. The applicant themselves said they didn't have more than a couple of months to get that sewer built. The sewer alignment I saw today shows it in the eastern part of the right-of-way, leaving more than enough room. So those sketches you saw are baked. So who pushed this through? And let's ask why Catherine Harrington isn't here tonight, because she is conflicted by this developer in past contributions to her household. And I'm not sure about everybody else in the room, but let's be honest. This was put on a fast track because she bullied your staff to do it. Do the right thing. Fight for your people. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other member online via Zoom which would provide public comment on this public hearing tonight? Not seeing any additional hands. Vice Chair Treese.
Okay. Are there further comments from the commission? Commissioner Snyder.
Well, I have a lot more questions for the staff and presenters, I think, to come back for. I have like probably 10 or 12 based on some of the testimony. And then comments. Sorry.
That's what we're here for. Go right. Go.
So, I heard testimony about the multiple options question, and I think you did show your work, so I'm not going to ask that question. I do want to ask about the water table timing with the wet season. That was not lost on me, but I didn't push you on it, but I think we need an answer given the testimony. So explain how you see this all playing out with the, 165 days if you start in September or October is going to be end in a very wet season.
Yeah, that statement is not inaccurate. The recommendations for when to start construction was dictated by the geotechnical engineer, who is more of an expert on this particular matter, unfortunately, than I am. And it's true, as we get through these primary months where the water table is lowest, the water table will start to rise. We will need to start pumping out more groundwater in these trenches. The hope is that we have completed the majority of the deep 30-foot sewer by the time we get to that point. So there are going to be times when the wet weather affects this project. And that's just part of doing construction in the Pacific Northwest, frankly.
So directional boring, I'm going to ask some questions about that, though I was involved in a clean water project or a freshwater project with directional boring under the Willamette River in one of my prior elected roles, which was just a massive effort. There's only like 4 companies in the world that can do it. And that pipe was half the size of this one, and that took just a massive effort. So I know I'm asking probably a wild question, but can you comment on the directional boring possibility here?
Yeah, I did hear that comment from Steve. I've done directional boring. We've done steel casing boring. Unfortunately, with this particular sewer line and the length that it is, it's a 21-inch pipe. It's running at about 0.1% slope, so very, very flat. That's the minimum slope for a size of this line that Clean Water Services allows. So it'd be very difficult to get that slope, to hit that slope actually, with a directional bore or even a steel casing bore in our contractor's estimates. It always
just because of the precision, like
the precision, yeah. And if we miss that slope, it's critical to hit that so that we can actually get under Gordon Creek and this line can actually service the homes south of Gordon Creek. If we miss that elevation, then kind of the work's all for naught, to be honest.
The best technical that like we in our current sort of human abilities and the equipment available, that's not a possibility for what needs to be done here.
I couldn't tell you that with 100% assurity. I'm sure there's projects that have done it. I have not been involved with a project that has done a directional bore that shallow of a slope. Typically, directional bores I've seen have a minimum slope of about 2%.
And what about the question about putting the project in the right-of-way on the side of the road?
We did look at that location right now on the side of the road. Currently there's existing overhead utilities and power poles. Those would all have to get undergrounded first. So we would have to find conduit, install vaults, have all the franchise utility companies come remove the power lines from and their services from those existing poles, rerun conduit or wire through the conduits. It's a very long process. There's, in addition to that, a high pressure gas main on the east side of the right of way. It is in the paved area right now, but it is pretty close to where we'd want to try to move a sewer if we were going to try to move it to the east of the right of way.
So while we're on that specific topic of the side, can you comment on the Hillsborough drawings where this supposedly appears and maybe is inconsistent with what you're presenting to us tonight?
Yeah, I can't speak to what Dirk witnessed on the drawings. We used the drawings to create the exhibits that were shared this evening. I helped put them together. I can assure you of their accuracy at the locations where we reviewed them.
Who can comment on the possible need for an environmental impact statement? I know that's a federal process, and this is not really in that space, but can somebody comment on where that would fit into this?
I would interpret that question to be, where does the traffic go that's detoured? And so 8,000 vehicles a day, you assume 10% of that is during the peak times. So the AM peak, 400 vehicles going in each direction. So now you're down to 200 vehicles. Where do those 200 vehicles go? They dispersed the system. And the official detour goes down Farmington Road to Highway 219, then up to Minter Bridge Road. Those are arterials. They're meant to handle that type of traffic. There may be additional delays, but nothing significant.
And there's no formal requirement for...
There's no requirement, correct? To look at the traffic diversion.
Okay, does the 165-day estimate include night work?
Does not include night work. So night work was one of the options, but to the person's comment, that would need to go through Hillsborough. Hillsborough has noise ordinances and other things that we need to consider. So definitely when it's in that northern section, night work.
Sounds like it might be an area where the community could have some input that lives immediately around it. Like, do they want it to go faster and noisier at night or slower and quiet at night? Possibly. Is that a potential community sort of input opportunity?
I might turn to Patrick. I think their team would handle the permitting and any noise exceptions that would be required through the city. So I don't know if you're more familiar with the city's process.
I'm not specifically familiar with how the city would go about an exception to their noise ordinance. One of the things to consider on this particular type of construction is these metal buckets of the excavator are physically pounding I-beams, steel I-beams into the ground that then support the steel panels that support the trench. I would say in terms of construction noise, it's probably on the high end of that noise. I'm not sure if the city would actually approve those types of activities during night, but I can't speak to the city directly.
Has both the city and the school district provided input on the impacts to the north that comments were made about? Like, do they get what's going to happen here?
I'm going to look to Patrick, but I don't believe the county has made a formal outreach at this point. So again, we're kind of in this chicken and egg situation with closures like this. We don't often know when it's the right time to go talk to the public because we also need to hear from your board about these closures. So there's always this sort of awkward tension of trying to anticipate community impacts and needs, and then trying to help ensure that when we bring these forward to the board that we have done our due diligence. And so that's a good question, and I don't believe we've done specific outreach with the school district at this time.
Sure. I'm not done though.
I know, and you're doing a great job. So it was brought up that where's the city of Hillsborough on this? Obviously, they're in play in this. They've been in play. They have to issue certain permits to allow this work to be done. So city of Hillsborough isn't on a picnic someplace else. But the question has to be when, as Jason pointed out, has anybody talked to the schools? Has anybody talked to the community around there? Obviously, there was no notice given. I don't know whose responsibility that is, if that's a city responsibility or a county, but if this is a city project, it sounds to me like that's a city responsibility. But fact of the matter, it wasn't done. So I guess I'm a little curious as to what kind of communication has been done, because certainly school routes and school buses, pretty important. We get those kids to school. We don't start them out at 6:30 in the morning because we got a 30-minute delay of getting them to school. So I'm hoping someone at the city of Hillsborough, since you can't, could answer that question.
Keep going, Commissioner Snyder.
Thank you. Small business access, there was a question from, it sounds like someone that's in farm space, but there may be others. Is there compensation for them if they're impacted, or what kind of access would their customers have during this period?
There is no compensation. So again, we would just anticipate that folks needed to access those properties would need to utilize the detour routes.
They would be able to reach the property?
Yeah, definitely. So local access will be maintained to all properties within the work zone. That's one of our requirements, along with ensuring that we have adequate emergency access if needed into the work zone too.
On to timing concerns. Let's start with, I want to understand, because I'll be honest, this does feel like poor planning on some people's parts has created an emergency on our part, and I don't like that. There's nothing that says this has to be done during this period. It could be done either in the wet season, which would take longer and be uglier, or it could be done next year with a much less sort of emergency feel to it. So Stephen, when was the first time that you're aware of that a county staff member became known to a county staff member or person that this was a possible need? What would be your guess? I mean, I don't need the exact day, but like, was it a week ago, a month ago, 6 months ago, a year ago?
Yeah, I'm going to look to Stacy. His team would have been doing the initial groundwork with the applicant.
Yeah, and maybe Patrick can give me an assist because they're the ones that made the application. But so yeah, it's been weeks or a month and a half in the making. So all these conversations, these alternatives, we wanted to see, why it couldn't be done under flagging. So these conversations, as Stephen mentioned, they go on before we bring something to the board for approval.
I think that's understandable. It strikes me as odd with something with this amount of impact that needs to start in September, that discussions started about it around July, the beginning of July or the end of June. That, to me, from a project management standpoint and just a timing standpoint with the impacts, it really does feel like it's an emergency on our part when it just didn't need to be. So that doesn't feel good, and I'm just going to call that out. So the timing concerns with Hillsborough, Stephen, you reported that there were, or maybe it was Stacy, commented that there were discussions with, this is in our work session earlier today when we were doing the agenda review, commented that there'd been discussion with the city of Hillsborough. To me, it's very different if this starts in like the second week of October and you're now going to be almost in the wet season immediately versus starting, a week or 2 weeks from now, I guess you've said is the speediest.
Be the soonest, yeah.
So what's the reality there?
Maybe I didn't track exactly what the question was. So.
Is the city of Hillsborough really going to have this permit ready for them to act in 2 weeks, or is it going to be 4, 5, 6 weeks?
Yeah, my understanding, and maybe Patrick can speak to this more closely, but I spoke to the assistant public works director at the city today, and she indicated that it looked as though the project is in the final stretch of being ready to issue the construction permit. So Patrick may have a little bit more insight into that, but that's verbally what I was just told this afternoon.
Can we condition the closure if we were to approve it? Can we condition it on it starting it by a certain point in time? And if not, then it's not approved. Then it's not approved.
I think that might be within your purview.
Okay.
I'm going to look at council. There's a resolution that guides this. I don't believe in my recollection that it gives that level of specificity about what you could or could not condition in terms of a closure. So
okay, maybe that's a question for the county council, but I'm not going to ask the question about fake sketches. I think you already covered that as best you can, and those are my questions. I have comments for when we're in deliberation.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I'm looking at the comment was made about other detour routes, and I'm familiar with Rosedale Road, Century Boulevard, Davis Road, quite frankly Woodbridge Road. I used to live just off of Woodbridge Road for several years in the 80s, and so I know how that goes. And yeah, I think probably if I had to get from River Road down to Farmington Road, I'd probably take Woodbridge Road. So I guess and using Rosedale Road as the preferred detour route rather than, I don't know, it looks like it dead ends into the project there, so I don't know where it goes from there. So where is the detour route going? I'm gonna guess, is that north on River Road, crossing Rosedale?
So the preferred detour route, I think Stacy will correct me if I get this wrong, but I believe it is using Farmington Road and Highway 219, and then back on TV Highway into Hillsborough are the preferred detour routes, but please.
Yeah, that'd be Highway 219 to Minter Bridge.
Minter Bridge, thank you.
Okay, 219 to Minter Bridge to River Road.
Yes.
And what if you're coming just south of the project? You're going to take River Road and go south? Is that what you're going to do? I don't know. It just seems to me that there might be some, I think there's going to be a whole bunch of traffic all over within that grid in there. And so I'm hoping we do a good job of setting up our detour signs and certainly the preferred route where we would like them to go versus where they choose to go.
Right. The preferred route is in green. That's to accommodate trucks, large vehicles, et cetera. It's, where local traffic and where others decide to go, all those roads are public roads. But our signed detour will be on the green route using those major arterials.
Okay. I don't have anything else.
Commissioner Fye, any questions?
No, I think Commissioner Snyder did a really good job of
If I could interrupt just for a moment. If we could get through questions, and then, because I have a couple questions.
Yeah, I don't have any questions.
We'll come back to comments, okay? Thank you. The question about the school bus and school travel, how have we handled that type of notification in the past? And I'm asking Stacy and Stephen for that information.
So a closure like this requires 2 weeks notification to the public, and once approval by the board is made, then the consultant will send out the notices to a mailing area of constituents that's provided by the county, and then the consultant then also makes the notifications in coordination with the school, the utility providers, the service providers. It's all on the developer to make those notifications, and that's typical of the normal process.
And so that is on the developer. Is that what you're telling me?
The developer is
Same thing
responsible.
for haulers, garbage haulers.
Those are all service providers, yes.
Okay. I have a real concern about making, it seems like we're talking about a reasonably large issue here, and we're applying the same 2-week time frame that we would for smaller projects. That, in essence, is my concern. So the questions that I'm asking are really relative to the I'm surprised that we don't have more flexibility in notification based on the size of the project. But you've answered my question. So now, comments. Commissioner Fye, I asked you to stick with your questions. Are you ready for comments?
Yeah, thank you. This is rather awkward conversation to have, I feel like, with this project, but I do want to acknowledge and appreciate the work you put in here. I think of what I find very disturbing, I would say, and from what we've learned tonight and how this is unfolding right in front of us, is that one of the documents, published document, the memo, says, no known oppositions at this time. How could I know, how could you know if we have not done our due diligence and have not reached out to the residents? So I'm really looking forward that we delay this conversation and this decision tonight and pause. And I think Commissioner Willie was recommending decision to delay in few weeks to 2 weeks. But I don't want to put a timeline to the delay, but I do want to look to your subject matter experts, because to be fair, Patrick, there were questions that were referred to you that you said you couldn't answer because the individual that had that subject matter expert isn't here. So I think it's fair to delay this topic to say, let's come back and let's figure out the options that are available. And in the meantime, I think the county, Stephen, I'm looking to you, perhaps we can invest some little bit of outreach to the residents, because I believe people who are closest to the problem are closest to the solution. So reaching out to the residents and engaging them and informing them will give us to the fastest way to get to that solution. So I don't have I think Commissioner Willie might have a timeline, but I'm looking to delay this conversation and pause for a second and come back to it and really do what's our role and responsibility is as a Board of Commissioners, which is to do our due diligence and to come out to that, the common sense solution that will benefit everyone. Because right now, and I'll look to you, Patrick, to say this decision benefits you and your company. It doesn't look like it benefits anybody else, including the county, because we're scrambling. And yes, I've heard that somebody's emergency is becoming our emergency, but that's not our responsibility, right? Like construction companies, developers, their emergency is their emergency, and our emergency is with the people. And right now, we really have a crisis on our hand that, one, people are not informed. Two, we do not have options, and this is just happening. So I know this is probably not the decision we were looking for, but I'm going to be, if a motion is made to pass this, to take an action tonight, I will be voting no. But I really do hope that, and I don't want to make the motion right now because we're in deliberations, but I do want to delay this topic, and I urge my colleagues to consider that and really not put a timeline, but to do our due diligence, because we need to have multiple conversations here, multiple conversations, including with cities and school districts, and just the more you know that NBC commercial is true here tonight. The more we know, the closest we get to that cost-effective solution.
Thank you. Mr. Willie?
Well, yeah, I think what Commissioner Fye was referring to was I'm not feeling very good about this process right now. The fact that we have something that's going to impact people, 8,000 commuters a day, and we give them 2 weeks' notice. The fact that we haven't contacted school districts, and we're giving them 2 weeks' notice, and they're in the middle of starting school any day. Beaverton started today, as a matter of fact. Not feeling real good about this. And so I don't know what delaying this decision a week. I mean, if we delay it more than a week, I think we're probably pushing the window, the water table window, into a little bit of a more of a dangerous situation. But I don't know. I'm not comfortable making this decision tonight, I don't think. So
Thank you.
let's have an option.
Commissioner Snyder.
I will state again that I don't think poor planning on the applicant's part constitutes an emergency on our part. I think the community engagement, given the level of impact, is woefully underpowered for what would need to happen for this to be the right thing to move forward now. I do think you did your homework and demonstrated to us why this can only be done with a closure. I do think you did that between all of you. I don't have questions about that from a safety perspective. It's pretty clear to me that it would be very unsafe to do this via any other method. Unfortunately, this is a constrained area and environment, and I accept that. And the technical parts of this are very difficult. I think that's all acknowledged. But that's all stuff that you either could have known or should have known or did know way before June or July of this year. There is no way that you all just figured that out in the last 6 weeks. I just don't buy that. Either that or, well, I won't make the comment about what that might mean. But like, you either should have known or did know. And whatever the answer is there, it's not acceptable from a timing perspective to make this an ask on the community of this size of an impact. I just think the community engagement component of this is, again, woefully underpowered. If I were even willing to move it forward right now, it would be with a condition that if you didn't start by September 15th, you were done till next year. And you can do some robust community engagement and wait for the water table to be in its place. That would be my thought.
Thank you. I'd like to provide my thoughts at this time, and that is that I do believe that you have done the work from a civil engineering standpoint to manage our needs into the future for this project and for the development that we have to have for housing in our community. So I appreciate that, but I echo the comments of my fellow commissioners around the fact that the communication has been lacking. And that's why we're here tonight, and that's why we've heard the level of comments. And I would reiterate what I said earlier about the fact that the 2-week notice works when the impact isn't at the magnitude this is. But when the impact increases, we certainly, I believe, need to be escalating the amount of communication that happens. That said, I want to speak to the people that have provided testimony. I believe that this is going to happen. We need to have this infrastructure. We need to move this forward. We need to do it in a safe manner. I believe that we need to do it and communicate adequately to all of the participants. But at some point, I will be voting yes on this because we have to do it for our future. So I appreciate the impact or the input that you've provided. I think we've all learned a very valuable lesson about the importance of communication and community engagement. But I will say that you're right, we all have ideas. Couldn't we do this? Couldn't we do that? I depend on the professional approach from a civil engineering standpoint. And that's, I know that I don't know as much as the civil engineers that I work with at the county and outside the county at Clean Water Services. So I will look to them for that guidance. Like I said, I believe that we are going to be in this position in the future, and probably the not too distant future, but we will know, you will know what's happening. And that's where I'd like to leave this tonight. Do we need to take a vote on this? Okay, please make that motion.
I want to make the motion to delay without a timeline, because I want to give you guys time to do this work. But I'm looking at you, Stacy. Do you need a time frame in this, or should we look at the rolling agenda and try to figure that out? Or
just to clarify, the action that's asked for is to approve the temporary closure.
Okay.
We're not taking that action.
We're not, okay, so I
mean, that-
move to.
Do we need to ask for a continuance? Does the applicant need to ask for a continuance? Or how does that work?
This isn't an ordinance
not an
type
ordinance?
process, and
Okay.
so I think if the board chooses to give the direction to pause this action, and
Okay.
I think I might suggest not putting a specific date
Time,
certain to
perfect.
it, because I think we'll need to circle our teams together and sort of figure out the next steps. I'm just thinking about the board meeting calendar in my head. You have a business meeting a week from today, and then you don't have another business meeting for 2 weeks after that. So we can either, I think, come back to you in 1 week, 3 weeks, or potentially 4
Okay,
weeks.
you decide. So, Madam Vice Chair, I'll make a motion to delay this action until.
Is there a second?
I'll second, but I guess I want to say something in reaction to what was just said. So I second the
Go
motion.
ahead and second it.
Yeah, and we can have discussion. Yep.
Stephen, I don't, maybe the level of concern here is not being verbally expressed. I cannot imagine how you all could do what needs to be done on the community engagement front in a week.
Right.
Like, if you're saying that or thinking it, or even 3 weeks, that tells me that we're not connecting on the level of work that needs to be done.
Yeah. No, I'm just, like I said, I'm jumping into looking at feasible dates, and so that's why I was suggesting it would be imprudent to try to identify a specific date at which we would come back.
You understand why I'm concerned, though?
Absolutely.
If you're,
Yeah, absolutely.
Are
So just for clarity, we've got a board meeting on the 16th, we've got a board meeting on the 16th and we got a night meeting on the 23rd. That's the two windows that you have available. But for right now, we're just going to postpone this decision.
Yes.
Then you're going to set the direction for it. Is that what I understand?
I believe what'll happen is that Stephen Roberts will come back with a proposal for a plan to revisit this. Okay?
Agreed. Yes.
And that way you have the opportunity to construct that. You've heard from us what our concerns are, the stakeholders in this, what they need to know, and we'll move forward from there. Is there any more discussion on this?
The county council looks like wants to weigh in.
I think you were getting to this point, but just to be clear, under Rule 8, you just have to make a motion to table the item indefinitely, and then you're fine. So I just wanted to make sure.
That's what, we have a motion on and a second. We're in discussion, and now I'm going to call for a vote.
Well, was the motion adequate, though? Is that?
Delay.
To table indefinitely.
A motion to table indefinitely, yeah, I would just make that motion on the record.
Okay, let me amend the motion so we do it correctly. I amend my motion to table this topic indefinitely.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you for the time that you spent with us tonight, and thank you to the audience and your participation and your feedback. It's much appreciated.
Thank you.
With that, Clerk Moss, we move to public communications.
Yes, Madam Chair, we had there's two in person here, Karen Schmidlin, followed by Dale Feek.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dale, we pay you by the minute or something, don't we?
I wish it'd be at your rate, though.
I'm glad we don't, quite frankly. So.
Go ahead, Mr. Feek.
Thank you, Vice Chair Treese and Commissioners. Dale Feek. I have two topics I want to talk about tonight. First topic is Donald Trump and his vote by mail and executive order. That's topic one. Topic two is the Access and Opportunity Resolution that replaces the DEI resolution, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. So those are my two topics. I didn't ask you to look at me, but you're looking at me anyway. I appreciate that.
Please continue.
Thank you. Time is gone. Ron Wyden sent me this, and I agree with Ron Wyden, Senator. If you're going to take advice on how to run free and fair elections, Putin is the last person you should be looking for, as Donald Trump did. Of course, Donald Trump was more than happy to echo Putin's criticism of mail-in voting and then call for a nationwide ban on it. I'm not about, or Wyden's not about, to let Trump infringe upon the secure and accessible means of voting that Oregonians have enjoyed for nearly 3 decades. We have the highest rate of voter participation of any U.S. state, and contrary to what Putin and Trump say, it has nothing to do with fraud. Trump knows he can't defend his increasingly unpopular agenda, so he's turning to any means he can to shift the electoral playing field in this party's favor. It began with his calls for Republicans to gerrymander additional congressional seats, and now he's continuing with attacks on mail-in voting, as you have heard many people testify about that as people that are in charge of the county's voting, authorized by the state. He has zero legal means of making it impossible to vote by mail. But if there's anything we know about Trump, it's that he believes the law doesn't apply to him. So I'm encouraging you to encourage your family members, your acquaintances, anybody you know, to get on the bandwagon and oppose Trump on this. All right, that's topic one. Topic two is Access and Opportunity Resolution. At a work session, I think last week, it was noted that the county developed a way to get informed about the new access and opportunity resolution through communicating with Kevin, our clerk, and other people. I finally found out how to watch those two out of 5 YouTube presentations. One of the county staff, Grady Wheeler, interviewed Alicia Sojourner, and she's the Director of Access and Opportunity, or it used to be Equity and Inclusion for the county. They were very informative. They said it was going to be 2 minutes, but I think they were a little longer than that. But the first, and I'm saying this not only for you, if you haven't watched them, and I'm also saying it for any county staff that hasn't watched them, and I'm saying it also for any community person that hasn't watched those videos. They're very informative because you've had very very emotional input about this. And I said, last time I said, people behind me are not going to agree with me, and they're my friends, okay? But I'm just making a statement that I think you are correct in your decision not to go with your amendment, Commissioner Fye, but to go with the resolution as presented, and the majority of you voted to pass that resolution. So the first interview by Alicia Sojourner, which I've had a chance to talk with personally, she's really committed. You committed money to make sure that the county spends time and energy and effort to have access and opportunity for the people that live in Washington County. So the first interview by Alicia Sojourner, I said it right the first time, anyway, is to language matters. The second one has to do with access and opportunity, and I got on and printed what access and opportunity means as she explained it. Topic 1 and 2 done. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Fee.
Is there anyone else in the auditorium that wishes to provide comment on any county-related topic for up to 5 minutes? Not seeing anyone come forward or raise hands. Is there any member online via Zoom that wishes to provide public comment for up to 5 minutes on any county-related topic? Give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Vice Chair Treese.
Thank you very much. I'd like to make the board announcements. Tuesday, September 2nd, we will have a work session at 9 a.m. The Housing Authority Board of Directors meeting will be at 10 a.m. There'll be a board meeting immediately following the Housing Authority Board of Directors meeting, approximately 10:40. On Thursday, September 4th, we will have a roundtable beginning at 9 a.m. Tuesday, September 9th is a work session starting at 9 a.m. Tuesday, September 16th, we will have a work session starting at 9 a.m. and a board meeting starting at 10 a.m. On Tuesday of September 23rd, we will have our evening meeting. We'll start with a work session at 2 p.m. and have our board meeting at 6:30 p.m. And on Thursday, October 2nd, we will have a roundtable. And on Tuesday, October 7th, we will have a work session and a board meeting. Are there any other announcements for the board from the commissioners?
Motion
All right.
to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 4-0. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here this evening.